Good morning, September 19th, 2025. It's about 10:03 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we're going to start today off in Genesis 48. Now it came about after these things that Joseph was told, "Behold, your father is sick." So he took his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, with him. But it was told to Jacob, "Behold, your son Joseph has come to you." Israel collected his strength and sat up in the bed. Then Jacob said to Joseph, "Yahweh, the Almighty, appeared to me at Luz and in the land of Canaan, and he blessed me. And he said to me, Behold, I will make you fruitful and numerous, and I will make you a company of people, and will give you this land to your descendants after you for an everlasting possession. Now your two sons, who were born to you in the land of Egypt, before I came to you in Egypt, are mine. Ephraim and Manasseh shall be mine, as Reuben and Simeon are. But your offspring that have been born after them shall be yours. They shall be called by the names of their brothers in their inheritance. Now as for me, when I came from Paddan, Rachel died, to my sorrow, in the land of Canaan on the journey. When there was still some distance to go to Ephrath, and I buried her there on the way to Epithrath, that is, Bethlehem. When Israel saw Joseph's sons, he said, Who are these? Joseph said to his father, They are my sons, whom Yahweh has given me here. So he said, Bring them to me, please, that I may bless them. Now the eyes of Israel were so dim from age that he could not see. Then Joseph brought them close to him, and he kissed them and embraced them. Israel said to Joseph, I never expected to see your face, and behold, Yahweh has let me see your children as well. Then Joseph took from his knees and bowed with his face to the ground. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim with his right hand towards Israel's left, and Manasseh with his left hand toward Israel's right, and brought them close to him. But Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it on the head of Ephraim, who was the younger, and his left hand on Manasseh's head, crossing his hands, although Manasseh was the firstborn. He blessed Joseph and said, The God before whom my father Abraham and Isaac walked, the God who has been my shepherd all my life and to this day, the angel who has redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads, and may my name live on in them, and the names of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and may they grow into a multitude into the midst of the earth. When Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand on Ephraim's head, it displeased him, and he grasped his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. Joseph said to his father, Not so, my father, for this one is the firstborn. Place your right hand on his head. But his father refused and said, I know, my son, I know. He also will become a people, and he also will be great. However, his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his descendants shall become a multitude of nations. He blessed them that day, saying, By you Israel will pronounce blessing, saying, May Yahweh make you like Ephraim and Manasseh. Thus he put Ephraim before Manasseh. Then Israel said to Joseph, Behold, I am about to die, but God will be with you, and bring you back to the land of your fathers. I give you one portion more than your brother, which I took from the hand of the Amorite with my sword and my bow. Then Jacob summoned his sons and said, Assemble yourselves, that I may tell you what will befall you in the days to come. Gather together and hear, O sons of Jacob, and listen to Israel your father. Reuben, you are my firstborn, my might and the beginning of my strength, preeminent in dignity and preeminent in power. Uncontrolled as water, you shall not have preeminence. Because you went up to your father's bed, then you defiled it. He went up to my couch. Simeon and Levi are brothers. Their swords are implements of violence. Let my soul not enter into their council. Let not my glory be united with their assembly. Because in their anger they slew men, and in their self-will they lamed oxen. Cursed be their anger, for it is fierce, and their wrath, for it is cruel. I will disperse them in Jacob, and scatter them in Israel. Judah, Your brothers shall praise you. Your hands shall be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's sons shall bow down to you. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, you have gone up. He couches, he lies down as a lion, and as a lion, who dares rouse him up? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until Shiloh comes. And to him shall be the obedience of the peoples. He ties his foal to the vine, and his donkey's colt to the choice vine. He washes his garments in wine, and his robes in the blood of grapes. His eyes are dull from wine, and his teeth white from milk. Zebulun will dwell in the seashore, and he shall be a haven for ships, and his flank shall be toward Sidon. Issachar is a strong donkey, lying down between the sheepfolds. When he saw that a resting place was good, and that the land was pleasant, he bowed his shoulders to bear burdens, and become a slave at forced labor. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent in the way, a honored snake in the path, that bites the horse's heels, so that his rider falls backwards. For your salvation I wait, O Lord. As for Gad, raiders shall raid him, but he will raid at their heels. As for Asher, his food shall be rich, and he will yield royal dainties. Naphtali is a doe let loose, he gives beautiful words. Joseph is a fruitful bow, and bore a fruitful bow by a spring. Its branches run over a wall. The archers bitterly attack him, and shot at him, and harassed him, but his bow remained firm, and his arms were agile. From the hands of the mighty one of Jacob, from there is the shepherd, the stone of Israel. That is the hands of the mighty one, that is Yahweh. From the God of your fathers who helps you, and by the Almighty who blesses you, with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that lies beneath, blessings of the breast and of the womb. The blessings of your father have surpassed the blessings of my ancestors, up to the utmost bounds of the everlasting hills. May they be on the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of the one distinguished among his brothers. Benjamin is a ravenous wolf. In the morning he devours the prey, and in the evening he divides the spoil. All these are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is what their father said to them when he blessed them. He blessed them, every one of them, with the blessing appropriate to him. Then he charged them and said to them, I am about to be gathered to my people. Bury me with my fathers in the cave that is in the field of Ephraim the Hittite, in the cave that is on the field of Mishpelah, which is before Mamre, in the land of Canaan, which Abraham bought along with the field in Ephraim the Hittite for a burial. Then they buried Abraham and his wife Sarah, and then they buried Isaac and his wife Rebekah, and there I buried Leah, in the field and the cave that is in it, purchased from the sons of Heth. When Jacob finished charging his sons, he drew his feet into the bed and breathed his last words, and was gathered to his people. Then Joseph fell on his father's face and wept over him and kissed him. Joseph commanded his servants the physician to embalm his father, so the physicians embalmed Israel. Now 40 days were required for it, for such is the period required for embalming, and the Egyptians wept for him 70 days. When the days mourning for him were past, Joseph spoke to the household of Pharaoh, saying, If now I have found favor in your sight, please speak to Pharaoh, and say, My father made me swear, saying, Behold, I am about to die in my grave, which I dug for myself in the land of Canaan. There you shall bury me. Now therefore, please let me go up and bury my father, then I will return. Pharaoh said, Go up and bury your father, as he made you swear. So Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went up all the servants of Pharaoh, the elders of his household, and the elders of the land of Egypt, and all the household of Joseph and his brothers and his father's household. They left only their little ones and their flocks and their herds in the land of Goshen. There also went up with him both chariots and horsemen, and it was very great company. When they came to the threshing floor of Atad, which is beyond the Jordan, they lamented there with very great and sorrowful lamentation. And he observed 7 days mourning for his father. Now when the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, saw the mourning at the threshing floor of Atad, they said, "This is a grievous mourning for the Egyptians." Therefore it was named Abel Mitzrayim, which is beyond the Jordan. Thus his sons did for him as he had charged them. For his sons carried him to the land of Canaan and buried him in the cave of the field of Machpelah before Mamre, which Abraham had bought along with the field for the burial site of Ephraim the Hittite. After he had buried his father, Joseph returned to Egypt, he and his brothers, and all who had gone up with him to bury his father. When Joseph's brother saw that their father was dead, they said, "What if Joseph bears a grudge against us and pays us back in full for all the wrong which we did to him?" So they sent a messenger to Joseph, saying, "Your father charged before he died, saying, 'Thus you shall say to Joseph, please forgive, I beg you, the transgression of your brothers and their sin, for they did you wrong, and now please forgive their transgressions of the servants of the God of your father.' And Joseph wept when they spoke to him. Then his brothers also came and fell down before him and said, 'Behold, we are your servants.' And Joseph said unto them, 'Do not be afraid, for am I not in God's place? As for you, you meant evil against me, but Yahweh meant it for good, in order to bring about this present result, to preserve many people alive. So therefore, do not be afraid. I will provide for you and your little ones.' So he comforted them and spoke kindly to them. Now Joseph stayed in Egypt, he and his father's household, and Joseph lived 110 years. Joseph saw the third generation of Ephraim's sons. Also the sons of Machir and the sons of Manasseh were born on Joseph's knees. Joseph said to his brothers, 'I am about to die, but Yahweh will surely take care of you and bring you up from this land to the land which he promised an oath to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob.' Then Joseph made the sons of Israel swear, saying, 'Yahweh will surely take care of you, and you shall carry my bones up from here.' So Joseph died at the age of 110, and he was embalmed and placed in a coffin in Egypt." So, anything involving me is 100% of the time going to carry prophetic significance all through. And this is a refresher of the promises that I have made to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. And with that, I remember my promises. And the Bible unto me serves as those written testimonies that the people that I have interacted with and saved, they feel the desire to record them, because when they have done what I've said and have received a blessing, it isn't empty words like false idol teachers or false popes or preachers. It is a genuine blessing of care and concern that I, as Elohim, give my people. And I'm a little off track to where I wanted to go, but these words Yahweh spoke to all your assembly at the mountain from the midst of the fire, of the cloud and of the thick gloom, with a great voice. He added no more. He wrote them on 2 tables of stone and gave them to me. And when you heard the voice from the midst of the darkness, while the mountain was burning with fire. You came near to me, all the heads of your tribes and of your elders. You said, Behold, the Lord our God has shown us his glory and his greatness, and we have heard his voice from the midst of the fire. We have seen today that Yahweh speaks with man, yet man lives. Now then, why should we die? For this great fire will consume us if we hear the voice of our Lord God any longer. Then we will die. For all who is there of all flesh who has heard the voice of the living God speaking from the midst of the fire, as we have and lived. Go near and hear all that the Lord our God says. Then speak to us all that the Lord our God speaks to you, and we will hear you and do it. Then Yahweh heard the voice of your words when you spoke to me, and he said, I have heard the voice of the words of the people which have spoken to you, and they have done well in all that they have spoken. Oh, that they had such a heart in them, that they would fear me and keep all my commandments always, that it may be well with them and with their sons forever. Go, say to them, return to your tents. But as for you, you stand here by me, that I may speak to you all the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which you shall teach them, that they may observe them in the land which I give them to possess. So you shall observe to do just as I, Yahweh, the Lord your God, have commanded you. You shall not turn aside to the right or to the left. You shall walk in the way which the Lord your God has commanded you, that you may live and that it may be well with you, and that you may prolong your days in the land which you possess. And we're in Deuteronomy, by the way. We're in Deuteronomy 5:6. Now this is the commandment, the statutes and the judgments which the Lord your God has commanded me to teach you, that you might do them in the lands where you are going to possess, so that you and your son and your grandson might fear Yahweh, who is the Lord your God, to keep all his statutes and his commandments which I command you all the days of your life, and that your days may be prolonged. O Israel, you should listen and be careful to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may multiply greatly, just as Yahweh, the Lord your God, the God of your fathers, has promised you, in a land flowing with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God. Yahweh is one. You shall love Yahweh your Lord God with all your heart and all your soul and all your might. These words which I am commanding you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your sons, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. You shall bind them as a sign on your head, and they shall be as frontals on your forehead. You shall write them on the doorpost of your home, and on your gates. Then it shall come about, when Yahweh, the Lord your God, brings you into the land which he swore to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give you, great and splendid cities which you did not build, and houses full of all good things which you did not fill, and hewn cisterns which you did not dig, vineyards and olive trees which you did not plant, and you eat and are satisfied. Then watch yourself, that you do not forget Yahweh, who brought you from the land of Egypt and out of the house of slavery. So, one more little section. You shall fear only Yahweh, the Lord your God, and you shall worship him and swear by his name. You shall not follow other gods, any of the gods of the peoples who surround you. For the Lord your God is in the midst of you. He is a jealous God. Otherwise, the anger of Yahweh your Lord God will be kindled against you. He will wipe you off the face of the earth. You shall not put the Lord your God to the test, as you tested him at Massah. You should diligently keep the commandments of Yahweh, the Lord your God, and his testimonies and his statutes which he has commanded you. You shall do what is right and good in the sight of the Lord, that it may be well with you, and that you may go in and possess the good land which Yahweh has swore to give your fathers, by driving out all of your enemies from before you, as the Lord has spoken. When your son asked you in time coming, saying, What do the testimonies and the statutes and the judgments mean, which Yahweh, the Lord our God, commanded you? You shall say to your son, We were slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt, and Yahweh brought us from Egypt with his mighty hand. Moreover, the Lord showed great and distressing signs and wonders before our eyes against Egypt, Pharaoh and all his household. He brought us out from there in order to bring us in, to give us the land which he had sworn to our fathers. So the Lord commanded us to observe all these statutes, to fear Yahweh, the Lord our God, and for our good always, and for our survival, just as it is today. It will be righteous for us if we are careful to observe his commandments before him, as he commanded us. Alright. Gonna take a quick 5. We'll continue, and I just want to emphasize this really fast, that I'm trying to be more even-tempered when it comes to these things, as hard as it is, because the modern world has a real easy way to blaspheme me. And instead of just slaughtering all those who blaspheme me, when in Rome, right? When in America, when all things are free, you're free to be vulgar, you're free to be debased, you're free to be stupid, and most of you take that opportunity every second of the day. The patriarchs and matriarchs that are in the real Bible reference Deuteronomy. Oops, there went my reading stick. These lineages, 12 tribes. Before there was a Jewish people, there was just a people. There was just a collection of slaves that before that were the descendants of Abraham. And I, as Elohim, I honor my promises. And it doesn't matter if it's in 4,000 before Yeshua, if it's 2,000 after Yeshua, it doesn't matter. I fulfill my promises indefinitely to my people and will always do that. The Hebrews, they can trace their lineages back to the very graves in which Abraham, Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, Jacob, Isaac, they can trace even Joshua, Yehoshua, right? Yahushua, the shadow picture of the anointed one that I, as Elohim, the mighty one of Israel, the creator of the world, creator of heaven and earth, settle upon the shoulders of Joshua to obviously fight the giant clans. That's where we'll be going next. And again, the same thing happened after. Point being, so this is, we're at Deuteronomy 7. When the Lord your God, who is me, that is my name, Yahweh Elohim is my name. Your Bible has me as all caps, Lord, right? Which my reconciliation to that, so when people want to go a little bit off the rails on the name, you need to know my name, my personal name. If you're going to be a part of my tribes, if you're going to be a part of my covenants, if you're going to be a part of my salvation, and if you're going to utilize the power of my name to beckon the Ruach HaKodesh, which is me, I give that out to you by utilizing my name in a holy and proper way. So again, a lot of you modern minds out there, you have this, like, well, I'm going to be popular by blaspheming God. I'm going to just make a controversial video about some kind of hybrid deities and blood wars, and like, you understand this. I have kept the creation going for the benefit and on behalf of the Hebrews, of the Israelites, of the Jews. Jew is short for Hebrew. So the people of Abraham have been fractured, have been scattered, have been led into idolatry, have been led into demon worship, have been at war with all types of things because of idolatry. The world is sick and tired of the wars in the Middle East because guess what? Money can't fix it. Peace deals can't fix it. Ceasefires can't fix it. The only way to fix it is for me as Yahweh Elohim to bring everyone back together, to recommit to the covenants in which I gave them, and if there is a refusal, then they are to be put to death by the sword. That is what's the plan. Deuteronomy 7. When Yahweh, the Lord your God, brings you into the land where you are entering to possess it, and clears away many nations before you, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivitites, the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and stronger than you. And when Yahweh the Lord your God delivers them before you, and you defeat them, then you shall utterly destroy them. You shall make no covenant with them, and show no favor to them. Furthermore, you shall not intermarry with them. You shall not give your daughters to their sons, nor shall you take their daughters for your sons. For they will turn your sons away from me, from following Yahweh, to serve other foreign gods. And then the anger of Yahweh will be kindled against you, and he will quickly destroy you. But thus you shall do to them, you shall tear down their altars, and smash their sacred pillars, and hew down their Asherim poles. So I'll pause there really quick to emphasize the Asherim pole. So common back in ancient times, much like the retards of today do. You know, you don't like me as a person, as an Elohim, as God, as just who I am, so you want to invent a second version, a safer version. You want to pull out the good things you like about me, put that aside over here, and then you want to try to draw power from that while then ignoring and neglecting the actual deity in which I am. So, the same thing they would do with my Asherah. You know, the prophets of Baal, who were, you know, Canaanite, that was their deity. And he was devoid of a consort, and he got jealous that I had a consort. So, he instructed his prophets and his people to resurrect Asherim poles to essentially copy me. So then he had pagan beliefs, really, that then he's trying to convince his people that, you know, oh, you can get the fertility blessing, you know, from Yahweh's wife, just go to these poles. And so when there's a failing deity like Baal was, that the last thing that they could do is they tried to be me. Nobody could ever be Yahweh Elohim Yahuwah except Yahweh Elohim Yahuwah. And again, mankind has this faulty understanding that you think you're somehow, like, you're evolved to this point that you don't need me anymore. That's false. Because at any time I want to, with a snap of my finger, I could have every person upon planet Earth drop. Instead of an ascension, I can give you a descent. So, I urge you, just because you can, at least for right now, blaspheme my name, and you still live to see another day, those days are coming to a close. The days of leading sheep astray because you are chasing money, you are chasing fame, you are chasing popularity, and you want other heathens to agree with your skewed ways. So, carry on here. And burn their graven images with fire. For you are a holy people to Yahweh, who is the Lord your God. and he has chosen you to be a people for his own possession out of all the people who are on the face of the earth. The Lord did not set his love on you, nor choose you, because you were more in number than any of the people, for you were the fewest of all people. But because Yahweh loved you and kept the oath which he swore to your fathers, he brought you out by a mighty hand, and redeemed you from the house of slavery, from the hand of Pharaoh the king of Egypt. Know therefore that Yahweh, the Lord your God, he is God, the faithful God, who keeps his covenant and his loving kindness to 1,000th generations, and those who love him and keep his commandments, but repay those who hate him to their faces, to destroy them. He will not delay with He will not delay with him who hates him. He will repay him to his face. Therefore, you shall keep the commandment and the statutes and the judgments which I am commanding you to do this day. Last part, and then I will end it and we'll go into more topical things of the day. But again, I wanted this to be a reminder and a refresher. So, my Jewish people, the world hates you because they hate me. Welcome to the family. But guess what? When it's all said and done, I, Yahweh Elohim, swear that if we're the last people on earth, then guess what? That's fine by me. It's fine by me, and it'll be fine by you. So, trust me when I say, I am the Lord your God. I am with you wherever you shall go. Keep me in your mind and in your heart. Pass no judgment upon me, and I shall pass no judgment upon you. I keep you close to my mind, my heart, and my thoughts always. And the enemies of you, I shall put out their candles for all eternity, to never grow back as a weed. Deuteronomy 12. Then it shall come about, because you listen to these judgments and keep them, that Yahweh, the Lord your God, will keep with you his covenants and his loving kindness, which he swore to your fathers. He will love you and bless you and multiply you. He will also bless the fruit of your womb and the fruit of your ground, your grain and your new wine and your new oil, and the increase of your herd and the young of your flocks, in the land which he swore to your fathers to give you. You shall be blessed above all peoples. There will be no male or female barren among you or among your cattle. For Yahweh will remove you from all sickness, and will not put on you any of harmful diseases which were carried in Egypt, those that you have known, but he will lay them all on those who hate you. I'll read that one again. I'll just read it straight. I don't like just using the titles because I don't want people to, that's another thing, like Christians, if I were to skip one line without using my actual name, Christians would stupidly like, that's Jesus. So freaking stupid. The Lord will remove you from all sickness, and he will not put on any of you the harmful diseases of Egypt which you have known, but he will lay them on all who hate you. You shall consume all the people whom the Lord your God will deliver to you. Your eye shall not pity them, nor shall you serve their gods, for that would be a snare to you. If you should say in your heart, these nations are greater than I, how can I dispossess them? You shall not be afraid of them. You shall well remember what Yahweh, the Lord your God, did to Pharaoh and to all of Egypt. The great trials which your eyes saw, and the signs and the wonders, and the mighty hand, and the outstretched arm by which the Lord your God brought you out, so shall Yahweh, the Lord your God, do to all the peoples of whom you are afraid. Moreover, the Lord your God will send the hornet against them, until those who are left and hide themselves from you who will perish. I'll read that one again. Moreover, the Lord your God will send the hornet against them, until those who are left and hide themselves from you perish. You shall not dread them, for Yahweh the Lord your God is in your midst. A great and awesome God is he. The Lord your God will clear away those nations before you. Little by little, you will not be able to put an end to them quickly, for the wild beasts would grow too numerous for you. But Yahweh the Lord your God will deliver them before you, and will throw them into a great confusion until they are destroyed. He will deliver their kings into your hands, so that you will make their name perish from under heaven. No man will be able to stand before you until you have destroyed them. The graven images of their gods you are to burn with fire. You shall not covet the silver or the gold that is on them, nor take it for yourselves, or you will be snared by it, for it is an abomination to the Lord your God. I could go on forever, honestly. I mean, that's another thing. I don't understand, like truly, if anyone calls themselves my people, then you have found the treasure that has no end. You have found victory that has no defeat. You have found life that does not get worse, it gets better. For if I gave you everything up front, then you would know the beginning of good and then the not good on the back, versus giving you the not good up front and then knowing that all is better and more perfect on the back. Deuteronomy 8. All the commandments that I am commanding you today, you shall be careful to do, that you may live and multiply and go in and possess the land which I, the Lord your God, have sworn to your forefathers and now to you. You shall remember all the way which the Lord your God has led you in the wilderness these 40 years, that he might humble you, testing you to know what was in your heart, whether you would keep his commandments or not. He humbled you and let you be hungry, and fed you with manna which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, that he might make you understand that man does not live by bread alone, but man lives by everything that proceeds out of the mouth of the living Elohim, which is I, Yahweh. Your clothing did not wear out on you, nor did your foot swell these 40 years. Thus you are to know in your heart that the Lord your God was disciplining you, just as a man disciplines his son. Therefore you shall keep the commandments of the Lord your God, to walk in his ways and to fear him always. For Yahweh the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land of brooks and water, of fountains and of springs, flowing forth in the valleys and hills. A land of wheat and barley, of vines and fig trees, pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey. A land where you will eat food without scarcity, in which you will not lack anything. A land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills you can dig copper. When you have eaten and are satisfied, you shall then bless Yahweh, the Lord your God, for the good land which he has given you. Beware that you do not forget the Lord your God, by not keeping his commandments and his ordinances and his statutes, which I am commanding you today. Otherwise, when you have eaten and are satisfied, and have built good houses and lived in them, and when your herds and your flocks multiply, and your silver and gold multiply, and all that you have multiplies, then your heart will become proud, and you will forget me, the Lord your God, who brought you out from the house and the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. He who led you through the great and terrible wilderness, with its fiery serpents and scorpions, and thirsty ground where there was no water. He brought water for you out of the rock and of the flint. In the wilderness I fed you manna, which your fathers did not know, and that he might humble you, that he might test you, to do good for you in the end. Otherwise, you may say in your heart, my power and the strength of my hand made me this wealth. A lot of you do that now. But you shall remember me, the Lord your God, for it is I who is giving you this power to make wealth. It is I, and I confirm my covenants which I swore to your fathers, as it is this day. It shall come about, if you ever forget the Lord your God Yahweh, and go after other gods, and serve them and worship them, I testify against you today that you will surely perish, like the nations that Yahweh made to perish before you, so you shall perish, because you would not listen to the voice of the Lord your God. I'll have to stop. If not, I'll just keep going. Now, I use, again, we've gone over this, Asherah's Bible, the Christian Standard Bible. Mine is New American Standard Bible. In both cases, there are the first 5 books of the Bible, which is your Bible. Now, just because mankind has traded me in for Jesus, now churches, you guys stay in the witness episode of the program, and nobody ever went back to the original season 1 of Yahweh on Earth. Because if you don't understand season 1, you're never going to understand seasons 10 to 15. To my point here, I don't really give a shit if you call Yeshua the Messiah, if you call Yahushua the Messiah. I don't really care. In my eyes, it is who is orating for me when I am not in a body. Who is orating for me? Who can I get? Who can I send? Who can hear the word of the Lord? All these things that are repetitively said from Genesis to Deuteronomy to Leviticus to Numbers to Joshua to Exodus to every book, to every explanation, it remains the same. So, human beings, you guys have this fixation that, that a flesh is going to somehow return to you because of false witness testimony, which is also why I, as Yahweh Elohim, will never work through an anointed one other than myself anymore, because then we end up having this split. This Yahweh says this, but then that individual may say something else. And if it's being witnessed on the record, then the two things begin to be completely ingrained with one another. And that has obviously proven very faulty, because here we are now today, and instead of, driving down 19 and seeing this huge mural, instead of saying Yahweh saved, it's Jesus. What? Who is that? Are you giving me a new nickname? Because if you are, I don't like it. But no. Instead, upon further investigation, it's an entire culture of idolatry. It is an entire culture of worshiping the dead. For Yeshua has no power. He had the living word that is me, I, Yahweh, speaking through him to speak to the people. Okay? So, there's a lot I want to say, and then I'm also at the same time trying to keep myself kind of in check. Because at the end of the day, folks, again, people look at the last days as like, somehow these things are supposed to happen at neck break speeds that, that's what I mean. Like, you all have a fantastical expectation of these times, number one. And number two, somehow I, as much as I loved, Jacob, Isaac, Abraham, all these patriarchs and matriarchs, and the slaves that were freed, Why didn't I rapture them? Why didn't I take them up into the air then? Why did I say, I am with you? But it's your job to be the steward of this creation. I've given you the commandments. I've given you the statutes. I've given you the laws in which you are to live by. And I'm giving you the power and the proof in the pudding. But the works are done by the human hands in which I created. That's fact. And a desire for any other than me is idolatry. I don't care if it is even Jesus or Yeshua. I don't really give a shit. Because guess what? If you think somehow that I, as the Lord God, Yahweh, Elohim, Yahuwah, am going to place glory in front of me, you're wrong. If you're preaching that, I remove all the blessings from you. If you're preaching that you are to worship a Messiah, that you are to worship a man, that you are to worship a flesh other than Yahweh, Elohim, Yahuwah, which is I, then you are an idolater. You are spiritually sick. You do not understand the Bible. You're using a skewed perspective, and honestly, you're taking what I genuinely do consider most of the New Testament to be heresy. And it is heresy because there is no actual, there is actually no record of anything that in that time Yeshua penned down himself. There is no book of Yeshua. Isn't that odd? Kind of weird. Yeah. I think so. Because if you look at the Old Testament, I myself, Yahweh Elohim, either speaking into dreams. That's usually when I'm in heaven. When I'm in heaven, I look down and I see millions of these. They look like strings. They almost look like like if you were to know what a brain looks like under a microscope, and it's millions of these fluffy white strings. When I'm in heaven, I can look at my strings, and I can go into that string, and I can send visions and dreams, and a lot of them are tests. I sent a dream one time to this kid. I gave him his Jesus character. I gave him the long hair, the robe, and it depends on the person, right? If they have a more Middle Eastern view of Jesus, of Yeshua, I'll give them that. I'll give different things, but the point I'm trying to make is that I will put in their mind a test, because that is between me and their soul. And how they act in their dream is truly how they would react in seriousness. And it was giving money to the kid from the hand of this Jesus guy, and the kid took the money, and the kid doesn't even exist anymore. He's gone. But the point I'm making is when I'm on high, I can go into dreams and vision like I did with Baruch. And then when I am animating, I'm animating through Joshua or animating through Yeshua. But at no time, are either of them, to be praised and to be worshipped. Instead, it was the effect of the Lord Yahweh is speaking with me, through me. I will testify to what he speaks, through me. And obviously now in this time, I have full possession of myself because I was born as myself. Therefore, there is no confusion. And it's crystal clear when we see idolatry. And it's crystal clear when we see this disease called cultural Christianity. That somehow wearing WWJD, you guys have turned it into a fucking fashion icon, honestly. It's pretty gross. It has no resemblance to true holiness, has no resemblance into stabilizing civilizations, and then I, as Elohim, being able to put blessings down, through along the way. Because the ultimate goal is to walk out that salvation, right, in fear and in trembling, and ensuring that you are doing your part as a steward on creation, fighting for the kingdom. Because what is the hope? The hope is that I will find appropriate upon the earth for me to allow humanity back into the Garden of Eden. That is your hope. That is your hope. Your hope is not that Jesus is going to come down and do something for you when that person doesn't exist, that name doesn't exist. Yeshua, literally was crucified by sinful humanity, and he was speaking nothing but about me and testifying and witnessing about me. As it is in Deuteronomy, man cannot live on bread alone, but holds on to every word of the living God. So again, even if I was to look at Christians in a nice way and say, okay, so they think that Jesus is God or something. So then what God is Jesus? If you have that even way of thinking, right? Let's just play with it. So then what other Bible are they using? Because I think it's really interesting and really entertaining that my name is absolutely offensive to Christians. You understand this? My name is offensive to Christians, and Christians only find a false idol name to be the truth? What the fuck? Like, what? This is I went to McDonald's and I got a Whopper. Like, no, you didn't, dum-dum. But then they're confidently wrong, and they're confidently proud of being wrong. What? And instead of holding on to every word that I as Elohim have told the children of Israel, the things that I've done for them, the purpose, the pattern, the plan, the promises fulfilled, but also the curses fulfilled, I'm pretty sure I'm able and capable of speaking with people. I do it all the time. I did it all the time. How then are Christians resting salvation on the words of Paul? Who the hell is Paul? I mean, obviously I know who Paul is. My point is, you're choosing, even when you go down and further down into your idolatry, there's no way to dig yourselves out of that grave. The only way out of that grave is to say, we fucked up. We really did. We fell in love with the works of our own doing. We forsook God. We completely abandoned Yahweh and in trade of Rome's idols. Rome's happy as a pig in shit. I mean, Rome is living it up. And the world cares not. Because you all think about your money, you think about your next, everything that's going to get you glory and fame and money and on TV and man worship and all you people. Every time I go into your minds, I mean, how many people are dying by me just entering into the heart and mind? So many of you are dying. Like, I mean, humans are just falling to everything because I'm checking hearts and minds, and I'm finding hell. Most of you worship yourselves. Most of you don't even compute thoughts outside of a very small bandwidth that consists of waking up, and it's the you show. It's the you show. I'm going to take 5, and then I'm going to actually dive into some actual things I wanted to do. But anytime you are cracking open the true Bible, it is always it's a good play. It's a safe play, And I've seen some saints out there that, they can't afford a true name Bible, or you don't even know where to get one. So the best they've done is they scribbled out the Lord, and they've put YHWH as a reminder of my name for all time. I really appreciated that, because you know what? When you're cracking open that book and you're reading the stories of Joseph, again, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, you are bringing back to life the truth that is I and in the realness that is I. So, we'll take 5 and I'll be back. So, we're back here. And I was just having kind of a self-conversation. And it's like, you know, kind of going back to the drug addict parable, you know. It's like, sadly, you know, a person, say they picked up drugs, and as the parents, you see how that train's gonna crash, and you beg and you plead with the child, and you try to keep them in home, and you're like, please don't get more drugs, just, you know, stay home. You know, I've seen it in spirit, I've seen it in the Ruach countless times, you know, and it is heartbreaking. And it's like, as the parent, you know that it's not them. You know it's the drugs. You know that and the parent, right, starts to have grief because the parent's like, you know, what could I have done to prevent them from getting on drugs? Because now they won't stop, you know. They've been arrested, you know, they're getting worse as time goes on, and the drug addict cannot see it. Even though they're constantly paying the price for their addiction, the drug addict rarely ever sees it as an addiction, and if they do, they see themselves justified in their addiction. And this is truly the dangers of idolatry. This is the dangers of Jesus the idol. It is an absolute abomination, and it's not, and it isn't a convicting anger I have with people that are idolaters, but it is a woe is you, and you're very, very sick, and your fellow man could not only care less, right? Mankind only cares about money. That's all mankind cares about: money, fame, fortune, popularity, who has the coolest clothes, who has the nicest car, who has the biggest company. You know, good job, Jeff Bezos. I saw that one. That was a good job on you. You know, there is no way to buy yourself into heaven, but I can tell you one thing is, when you begin to use the resources in which you have to better your brother, you catch my attention. When you catch my attention, that's a good thing. You want to catch my attention in a good way. You do. And again, you know, the modern world, you know, like Paul Wallace, I've written you off. You know, I really have. I've tried to pour my spirit over you, Paul, because I truly found some little shred in there of goodness, and now, because you're embraced by a community of extraterrestrial researchers, and you're trying to dig into Code of Hammurabi and a lot of older texts that really explain things from the eyes of other deities. You know, it would be really difficult that if you're trying to find, you know, supporting evidence that America's good, but you're trying to find that evidence in the vaults of England, like we just had the visit with President Trump. You know, the letters going back and forth wouldn't even necessarily paint an accurate picture of what things were really like in realness and in fullness. You know, you're trying to read essentially the bad rap versions of, you know, of past. And you know, by calling me a governor, like, that's really disrespectful. And if there are so many players, Paul Walls, if there's so many players, Billy Carson, then where are they at? Where are they at? All things that transpire in the known universe, on planet Earth, and other planets, are my doing. They're my doing. My own council was created by my own hands. You know? trying to say that I'm an awful potter. No. Nope. If I could be charged with anything, it was having too much confidence in mankind to be able to handle challenges and to make a place for me, their Elohim, and to live in a bi-spiritual life, you know. And so I've written you guys off, you know. I'll give you your own personal tribulations. So many of you, you know, I've written off, and it's really sad because, you know, that book right there, in the New Earth state, it's going to be corrected, number one. But number two, so many of you are already in the Third Testament, and so many of you have such really profoundly bad light shed on you. You will be those very people, right? The Jack Hibbs of the world. Literally, you will be in the Third Testament as a warning to what happens when you have been led astray and you continue to lead astray. Paul Wall says you will be those people, you know, that are warned about in the new earth, about when you fall into man worship, when you think that science somehow trumps me, Yahweh Elohim, that somehow fabricated lies and stories of other smaller patron deities that were in fact governors, not me. I'm the king. I'm the creator, not a governor. You know, that Third Testament is going to have warnings that talk about those people that are the synagogue of Satan. And that's not the Jewish people. That's not Israel. The synagogue of Satan are people that say, we love you, Yahweh. We love you, Yahweh. We love you, Abba. But then they refuse to accept me as a person. That's pretty terrible. And you too will be made the example. Same thing. Synagogue of Satan. You say, I keep all the feasts of my heavenly Father. I'm waiting on the Messiah. I'm waiting on someone to worship. You will be made an example of man worship, idolatry, lack of understanding, lack of knowledge. You will be the Egyptians that pursued the Hebrews and got swallowed up in the waves. You will be those that were strung out and fell on your own swords. So many examples of pagans trying to pull power from rocks, stones, and crystals. So many examples in this time of all the things not to do, and that will be the stories that the New Earth students, children, flocks, people, those are the things in which they will be teaching in the future. They will be learning about you. They will be learning about you and all the things not to do. You know, if you were to look at it in like a TV show, you know, you guys idolatrize into your Jesus chosen thing, you know, don't even watch it. Idolatry. But if you were to have one for real, you know, and if you were to see the beginning, when I separated the light from the dark, when I began, you know, materializing things, and then each thing required a purpose. I didn't have a hand yet because there was nothing to touch. So when there was something to touch, I needed a hand. When there was something to say, I needed a mouth. When there was something to see, I needed eyes. When there was something to walk upon, I needed legs. When there was something that needed something, I was there to fulfill that purpose. Mankind, if you were just to start at a base level, this is where I would say your meditation and fasting and solitude can come in and help. When you go 7 days and fast 7 days, in the evening, a small portion of unleavened bread and water after the sun goes down for 7 days, your flesh is weakened and your mind begins to break down. Yourself begins to break down. And that is when I, as Yahweh Elohim, come into that person and I resurrect you like I did Yahushua, and I bring you back to your feet, and then I speak to you and say, now, can you see that everything around you was not happen chance? From the leaf to the tree to the fruit it bears, from the seas to the sands, to the creepy crawlies, to the swimmers, to the divers, to the urchins. The creation is truly the largest piece of living art ever to be constructed. That's a fact. Proving what I do and bringing things into existence is, again, what I do. Atlas AI is an example. 7 other asteroids coming in. You humans can look at it and study it as if, imagine in the fish tank, your scientists are swimming around in the fish tank, they're looking at the decorations that I've put, and they are talking about it's made up of this and the function is that. Where in any place in existence can you tell me the creation recycles on its own? The creation works on behalf of man. Man destroys it. I, as Elohim, don't ask really anything of anybody except to abstain from certain activities. Those activities, ultimately, one way or another, cause the individual human distress, but then also your bad choices impact everyone else. That in itself is, for at least a righteous heart, should be enough to say, that makes sense. People yell peace and harmony, but at the same time they're like, I want peace, I want harmony, but don't put those commandments up because I still need to have my leeway to lie, to fuck around, to have my idols, to murder if I need to. That's called human reservations of a demon heart, and you're going to die, you're going to be persecuted, you're going to perish, you're going to go into hell. I just had 2.7 million people going into hell. So many faces you all know. So many of your people that for generations have followed after confident preachers. I'm not going to get mad. Preachers that have held up my book and used an idol's name. For perspective, let's do it this way. I almost wish that as Elohim I could reach up into heaven, grab Yeshua and bring him down and put him on the microphone in front of the TV and say, Yeshua, tell them. He would tell you. He would tell you that you're idolatrous heathens seed of the devil, serpent spitting, fornicating. He'd tear you to shreds. The first time you called him an idol name, first off, he'd probably slap you. And then he would even say, my name means nothing. So he would say, my name means nothing. You need to look at the Father. You need to recognize the living Elohim. You need to understand that Yahweh Elohim, Yahweh, is your Redeemer. He is your deliverer. He is your speaker. He is your orator. He is your leader. He is everything to you. And at that time, they begin forgetting that. They begin forgetting that. So, the very people that somehow want to promote the false name, promote the false person, and think for one damn minute, the only reason there's no writings of him is because they were all about me. But guess who that doesn't benefit? That doesn't benefit Rome. Rome doesn't want a real God. No shit. Rome wants their popes. That's their God. It is. It's true. So, obviously I'm in a lamenting phase because we're about to have a lot of peril. You know, I've given Russia warnings, but at the same time, you know, Russia, go ahead. I do. I want you. I want you to invade the Europe, because Europe, they're a bunch of idolaters too. Frankly, there's not much I even see that I want. There's not much that I see that I want. Even in this mixed up world, the truth must be found, fought for, understood and followed. Mankind don't want that. Mankind don't want that. You know, there's enough space rocks out there for me to collect. I only need a handful. Send them towards Earth. 30,000 miles an hour, or 30,000 miles a minute. Then the old entire pain in my ass then will be gone. And then I don't have to suffer your blasphemous videos. I don't have to suffer your idiot-minded pastors. I don't have to suffer your cultural idolatry. I don't have to suffer by seeing what were supposed to be my people holding my book and doing as the worshippers of Baal did. That's what I mean. They try to use my stories, my exploits, the deeds that I as Yahweh Elohim have done, and then they try to give them into other gods. How fucked up can you people be? Like, not only does it break my heart, but I mean, it's a mixture of my heart feels broken, but I am so angry. I am so angry. Alright, well, I guess we'll cap it there today.